Nobody is coming to save you. Let that land. Not your friends, not your family, not the government, not the universe at the perfect time with perfect conditions. And the moment you truly understand that, something powerful happens. You stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop negotiating with life. You stand up and you realize, this is on me. The world doesn't owe you understanding. It doesn't owe you fairness. It doesn't owe you comfort, applause, or a second chance. Life gives you breath, a heartbeat, and a window of time. That's the deal. What you do with it is your responsibility. When you're young, you think someone is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, now it's your turn. But that tap never comes. Life doesn't announce your moment. You have to declare it yourself. Too many people are waiting for permission, waiting to feel ready, waiting for confidence to show up first, waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. But motivation is unreliable. Feelings change. Circumstances shift. If you tie your future to how you feel today, you will stay exactly where you are. Growth doesn't respond to comfort. It responds to decision. There comes a point where excuses stop sounding reasonable and start sounding expensive. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'll start when things calm down. Calm never comes. There will always be pressure. There will always be something unfinished, something uncertain, something uncomfortable. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you will spend your entire life rehearsing instead of performing. The truth is simple, but it's not easy. The moment you stop expecting life to give you something is the moment you start taking control. Responsibility is heavy, but it's also freeing. Because when you accept full responsibility, you take your power back. No more blaming your past. No more pointing at people who didn't show up for you. No more using your story as a shelter instead of a launch pad. You may have been hurt. You may have been overlooked. You may have been dealt a hand you didn't choose. But hear me clearly. Your past can explain you, but it cannot excuse you forever. At some point, you have to decide who you're going to be despite what happened. That decision is lonely. Nobody can make it for you, and that's why it matters. Taking responsibility means you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what am I going to do about it? It means understanding that discipline is more important than motivation, consistency more powerful than intensity, and action more valuable than intention. Dreams don't respond to talk, they respond to work. There will be days you don't feel like showing up, days when doubt is loud, days when your mind tells you to take it easy, to delay, to settle. That's the test. Not the big moments, but the quiet ones, the mornings when no one is watching, the nights when quitting feels logical. That's where identity is built. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. If your standard is comfort, life will keep you comfortable and unfulfilled. If your standard is excellence, life will demand more from you, but it will give you more in return. Responsibility means holding yourself to a higher standard even when it's inconvenient. Stop waiting to feel like it. Stop waiting to see it. Stop waiting for approval. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards execution, and execution requires sacrifice. You may have to sacrifice sleep. You may have to sacrifice old habits. You may have to sacrifice people who only recognize the version of you that stays small. Growth costs. And the bill always comes due. But here's the beauty of it. When you choose responsibility, you also choose pride. Pride in knowing you didn't quit. Pride in knowing you didn't hide behind excuses. Pride in knowing that when life pushed back, you pushed harder. That kind of pride can't be taken from you. It's earned. You are closer than you think. Not because it's easy, but because you're still here, still breathing, still capable of deciding differently today than you did yesterday. This moment doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be honest. Honest enough to say, no one is coming, and that's okay. I've got this. Because when you take full responsibility for your life, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming an architect of outcomes. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop surviving and start building. This is your one life, one shot, no rewinds, no rehearsals. And at the end of it, the only question that will matter is not what happened to you, but what you did with what happened to you. So stand up, decide, move, not tomorrow, not when it's easier, now. Ordinary is not an accident. Ordinary is a decision you make every single day, often without realizing it. It's choosing comfort over challenge, familiar over frightening. It's waking up and doing just enough to get by, then convincing yourself that this is just how life is. But hear me clearly. Greatness is available to you at the exact same moment. It's not reserved for the chosen few. It's not hidden behind luck or privilege. It's a choice, and it demands a different version of you. The first step toward greatness is separation. Separation from comfort. Separation from habits that no longer serve you. Separation from the old version of yourself that keeps negotiating with mediocrity. Growth requires a break, a clean break. You cannot become someone new while clinging to who you used to be. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you're fine where you are, that tomorrow will be better, that there's no rush. But comfort is also a thief. It steals urgency, it steals hunger, and eventually it steals your potential. At some point, you have to look in the mirror and admit that the life you want cannot be built by the habits you currently protect. The version of you that wants ease cannot coexist with the version of you that wants excellence. One of them has to go, and that decision is not emotional. It's intentional. It's choosing discomfort on purpose, because you understand that comfort has never changed anyone's life. Greatness asks a different question than most people are willing to answer. It asks, are you willing to do what others refuse to do? Are you willing to show up early when no one is watching? Stay late when applause is gone? Push when your body says stop and your mind offers excuses? Because the gap between ordinary and extraordinary is not talent, it's willingness. Most people want the reward without the responsibility. They want the results without the repetition. They admire discipline from a distance but reject the process up close. They don't want to be misunderstood, tired, or alone in their grind. But greatness lives in those places. In the early mornings, in the quiet sacrifices, in the days where nothing seems to move, yet you move anyway. You don't need to be better than everyone. You just need to be willing to do what most people won't sustain. Consistency when it's boring, effort when it's inconvenient, focus when distractions are loud. That's where separation happens. That's where standards rise. And let me tell you something important. Motivation is not coming to save you. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes. Some days it shows up dressed like confidence. Other days it doesn't show up at all. If you wait on motivation, you'll work only when it's convenient. And convenience never built anything remarkable. Discipline is different. Discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not. Discipline doesn't ask how tired you are. It asks what you committed to. Discipline is a decision made once and honored daily. It's the ability to say, I will do this because I said I would, even when every part of you wants to quit. The most powerful people are not the most inspired. They are the most disciplined. They've trained themselves to act without negotiating with their emotions. They don't ask, do I feel like it today? They ask, what needs to be done? And then they do it. Every act of discipline is a vote for the future you say you want. Every skipped excuse strengthens your self-respect. Every time you follow through, you send a message to yourself. I can be trusted. And once you trust yourself, you become dangerous in the best way possible. Ordinary is easy. Ordinary is crowded. Ordinary is full of people who had potential and never paid the price. Greatness is lonely. It's demanding. It requires you to say no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what matters later. So decide, not emotionally, intentionally. Decide that comfort will no longer lead your life. Decide that discipline will replace excuses. Decide that you will do the work even when the mood is gone. Because the moment you make that decision and honor it daily, you stop hoping for a different life and you start building one. Ordinary is a choice, but so is greatness, and the choice is yours. Pain is unavoidable. There is no life, no dream, no path forward that doesn't pass straight through it. The mistake most people make is believing they can escape pain altogether. You can't. The real question is not whether you will suffer, but what kind of pain you are willing to live with. Because there is pain that weakens you, and there is pain that builds you. And you get to choose. There is a quiet, heavy pain that comes from doing nothing. It's the pain of regret. The pain of knowing you could have tried but didn't. It doesn't hit all at once. It shows up slowly in missed chances, in self-doubt, in that voice at night asking, "What if?" That pain grows over time, it compounds, and it stays. The pain of inaction is subtle, but it is relentless. Then there is the pain of growth. It's loud, it's uncomfortable, it demands effort and sacrifice. It stretches you beyond what you're used to. But this pain has a purpose. It teaches you, it sharpens you, and most importantly, it ends. Muscles tear so they can grow stronger. Minds are pressured so they can expand. Characters are tested so they can be revealed. Growth pain is temporary, but the strength it leaves behind is permanent. You don't get to avoid pain, but you do get to decide which one you'll carry. Either the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. Either the discomfort of becoming or the suffering of staying the same. One costs effort, the other costs your future. Fear will come with the pain, pressure will come, exhaustion will come. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, it means you're doing something real. Too many people interpret fear as a stop sign, when it's actually a signal that you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. And unfamiliar territory is where growth lives. You don't need to eliminate fear, you need to learn how to move with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act while fear is present. The same goes for pressure and fatigue. They are not enemies, they are training partners. They are the weight that builds mental muscle. Without them, you stay fragile. Pain, pressure, fatigue, these things introduce you to who you really are. When everything is comfortable, character stays hidden. But under stress, truth shows up. Pain strips away excuses. It exposes habits. It reveals whether your discipline is real or just something you talk about. That's why pain is such a powerful teacher. It doesn't lie. And if you're willing to listen, pain will shape you into someone solid, someone steady, someone who doesn't break the first time life pushes back. Character is not built in moments of ease. It's forged in moments when quitting feels justified, but you stay anyway. This is where you become dangerous. Not dangerous in the sense of harming others. Not loud, not aggressive. Real danger is internal. It's self-control. It's mastery over impulse. It's the ability to stay calm when chaos invites you to react. A dangerous person is not controlled by emotions, distractions, or circumstances. A dangerous person controls themselves. When you can command your own actions, your own time, your own focus, you become powerful. Because the world cannot easily manipulate someone who is disciplined. Temptation loses its grip. Excuses stop working. You move with intention, not impulse. Self-discipline is a weapon, not a glamorous one, but a lethal one in the long run. It allows you to do what needs to be done even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. Discipline turns pain into progress and effort into identity. Most people collapse without validation. They slow down when praise disappears. They stop when no one claps. But the ability to act without applause is what separates the strong from the fragile. If you only perform when you're seen, you'll never last. But if you can work in silence, suffer in silence, and improve in silence, you will outgrow environments that once defined you. The strongest people don't announce their grind. They embody it. They don't need to be motivated by external noise because their standard is internal. They show up because that's who they are, not because someone is watching. Pain will come either way. Life will apply pressure either way. So choose the pain that sharpens you. Choose the fatigue that earns you strength. Choose the pressure that turns you into someone formidable. Become dangerous. Mentally, internally, disciplinarily. Not because you want to dominate others, but because you refuse to be ruled by weakness within yourself. When you reach that point, life changes. Not because it gets easier, but because you get stronger. Talent gets attention. Consistency gets results. The world loves to praise raw ability, but ability without follow-through is just wasted potential. There are gifted people everywhere, full of promise, full of ideas, full of talk. And yet they stay stuck, not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. Consistency is not flashy, it's quiet, it's repetitive. It's doing the same small things long after the excitement is gone. Great outcomes are rarely the result of one massive effort. They are built through small, daily actions that look insignificant in the moment. One workout, one page written, one difficult conversation, one decision to show up when it would be easier not to. These actions don't feel heroic, but they compound. And over time, they separate you from the crowd. The danger is not doing too little in one day. The danger is doing nothing consistently. Small actions done daily will outperform occasional bursts of intensity every time. You don't need to overwhelm yourself. You need to be relentless in the basics. Master the simple disciplines and repeat them until they become part of who you are. And that begins with one of the most important relationships you will ever have, the relationship with your own word. Every time you promise yourself something and break it, you weaken trust. Every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Self-trust is built or destroyed in the smallest moments. When you say you'll wake up early and you don't, when you say you'll start and you delay, you are training yourself not to believe you. But when you keep your word to yourself, even in small things, something shifts. You start to walk differently. You stop second-guessing yourself. Confidence grows not from hype, but from proof. Proof that you do what you say you will do. That kind of confidence is unshakable because it's earned. This is why systems matter more than inspiration. Inspiration is unpredictable. Some days it shows up strong, other days it disappears completely. A system doesn't care how you feel. A system tells you what to do and when to do it. It removes decision fatigue. It protects progress. A system turns dreams into schedules and goals into routines. You don't ask yourself if you feel ready. You look at the clock and you move. When action becomes automatic, progress becomes inevitable. The people who win long-term are not more motivated. They are better organized around their discipline. Pressure is another unavoidable part of the journey, and pressure is neutral. It doesn't decide your outcome. You do. Pressure either crushes you or concentrates you. It either breaks you down or builds you up. The difference is not the pressure itself, but how you use it. Difficulties can become fuel if you allow them to. Hard days can sharpen your focus. Setbacks can clarify your priorities. Pain can push you deeper into purpose if you stop asking why it's happening and start asking how it can be used. Every obstacle carries energy. You decide whether that energy works against you or for you. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. And your response is everything. Life will test you with chaos, delays, loss, and uncertainty. Trying to control every external outcome will exhaust you, but mastering your reaction will free you. When you stop fighting reality and start working with it, chaos turns into training. You become adaptable, grounded, calm under pressure. That calm is strength. It allows you to make clear decisions while others panic. It allows you to move forward while others freeze. Pressure reveals what's inside you. If you're scattered internally, pressure exposes it. If you're disciplined internally, pressure amplifies it. That's why pressure creates diamonds. It forces focus. It strips away what's unnecessary. It turns raw potential into something solid. To step into the next version of yourself, something must be left behind. Growth always requires a loss. You cannot carry old habits, old thinking, and old attachments into a new season. The weight will slow you down. The future demands space. Old habits that once protected you may now be limiting you. Old ways of thinking that once made sense may now be outdated. Comfort zones that once felt safe may now be cages. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes the hardest release is people. Not because they are bad, but because they are tied to an older version of you. Toxic environments don't always look aggressive. Sometimes they look familiar. Sometimes they look like comfort. But if the people around you normalize stagnation, doubt your growth, or pull you back into old patterns, the cost of staying connected becomes too high. You don't owe access to everyone. You owe honesty to yourself. And that honesty may require distance. It may require uncomfortable goodbyes. It may require disappointing people who benefited from you staying the same. That takes courage. Letting go is an act of faith. Faith that who you are becoming is worth protecting. Faith that what's ahead is bigger than what you're leaving behind. Faith that the next version of you deserves a clean environment, a clear mind, and focused energy. Release what no longer serves the future you are building. Make room. Move forward lighter. Because the next version of you cannot be built with the weight of the past still on your back. Hard work alone is not enough. You can stay busy your entire life and still stay in the same place. Movement is not the same as progress. Effort without awareness turns into exhaustion. If you want to rise, you have to work with intention. You have to think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it can be done better. The most dangerous trap is autopilot, doing the same thing year after year and calling it experience, when in reality it's just repetition without growth. Conscious work requires reflection. You study your actions. You question your habits. You critique your results without ego. You ask yourself hard questions and you answer them honestly. Where am I weak? Where am I wasting time? What needs to change? Improvement begins when you stop being impressed by your own effort and start being committed to your own evolution. You don't just show up. You show up to get better. You measure. You adjust. You refine. You treat your craft like a responsibility, not a hobby. That mindset alone separates professionals from amateurs. Growth in performance is the gateway to the next level. No one gets promoted just for trying hard. Levels change when capacity changes. When you can handle more pressure, more responsibility, more complexity. Productivity is not about doing more random tasks. It's about doing the right things with precision and consistency. Each season of your life should demand a stronger version of you. Stronger in focus, stronger in discipline, stronger in emotional control. If a year passes and nothing in you has upgraded, that's not time well spent. Time only becomes valuable when it's used to build capacity. Character matters more than speed. You can move fast and still move in the wrong direction. You can win and still lose yourself in the process. Real success is not just about reaching the top. It's about who you are when you get there. If you sacrifice your integrity for momentum, the cost will come later, and it will be higher than you think. Winning without losing yourself is the highest form of victory. That means staying true to your principles even when shortcuts are available, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. Integrity is what you do when there's no audience, no reward, and no immediate consequence. Self-respect is built in private, in the moments where you could compromise and choose not to, in the moments where lying would be easier than being honest, in the moments where cutting corners would save time but cost your standards. Those moments don't look important, but they define you. When you respect yourself, you move with a different energy. You don't chase validation. You don't need approval. You know who you are and what you stand for. That clarity becomes strength. And that strength becomes stability when everything around you is uncertain. Your future is watching you right now, not metaphorically, literally. The person you will be in 5, 10, 20 years is being built by what you choose today. Every decision is an investment. Every habit is a vote. Every excuse is a withdrawal from the life you say you want. You don't build the future in one dramatic moment. You build it in ordinary days with intentional actions. By choosing what benefits tomorrow over what feels good now. By saying no to distractions and yes to discipline. By doing the work that your future self will be grateful you didn't avoid. One day you will look back at this version of yourself, and you will either say thank you or you will ask why. Why you waited, why you settled, why you didn't act when you knew better. That conversation is coming. The only question is how it will sound. So let this be the moment you stop postponing your potential. Stand up, take responsibility, act with purpose. Improve relentlessly, protect your character, honor your word. And once you start, don't stop. No applause is coming, no perfect conditions are arriving. This is it. This is your life. And the future you is watching, waiting to see if you will become the person they can be proud of.